All right, thanks for sticking around. I've been excited to kind of share what we've been working on with some of this outdoor space, as Chris said. Um, we have some really wonderful space out there, and I think during COVID we got to experience outdoor worship and kind of see it firsthand, and I think that really got the wheels turning about what our outdoor space could be. So what I'm going to share with you guys is how we can make that space better and some of the things we've been cooking up and some of the reasons why we're doing it. So I've got just a few slides here. It'll just take a few minutes. Let's go to the next slide here. So why are we doing this in the first place? I think there's kind of a fundamental aspect. My background is one of a designer. I'm an architect by trade, and so one of the things I go around to churches talking about all the time is that good design can shape culture. And so we started to think through a little bit about, why do we want to do this outdoor space project? And there was a couple things I think that I want to highlight for you. I'll read them off for you here. There is culture here that we want to build and reinforce. And one of them is just a community focus. We have been community oriented. We talk about that within our mission, and also just a visible invitation. You're going to see the plans here from the outdoor. One of the things that we really want to do is to build some things that are visible from the community, kind of the curb appeal or the front porch of the church. We'll see that in a second. The second is just enjoyment of nature and beauty. One of the things I think about being outside is that we just get to see the beauty of our Creator. And so I think there's a huge opportunity to kind of immerse ourselves in that beauty and just enjoy nature. The third thing is we value children, families, and intergenerational relationships. So I'm going to talk about a playground we're going to be creating, and I think at the core of that is the value we've always had on family, children, and really some of the spaces that can span multiple generations that we can actually enjoy together. And the fourth is just good stewardship of our resources and our space. So like I said, we've been blessed with a really wonderful property that we want to develop, that we want to create within. But also, dollars are limited, and so being good stewards of the resources we do spend is really important too. So what does it look like? I'm going to go to this next. I've got a little plan here. This is going to be hard to see, so I'm going to describe it the best I can. We are really early in some of the planning. We're just kind of at a conceptual stage right now. But within this phase of this project, you can see a circle at the top. That's the stage and gathering area. So that's already poured. We've already got to use that. Generous donations from IFMA Concrete and Ozinga have allowed that to be done really affordably. So we already have that part poured. And then there's two other components of this phase of outdoor improvements. One is the playground that I talked about. So you can probably barely make out, that's intentional, kind of the components of the playground, but you can see where it is. This is a kid's playground. It's going to be really nicely done. It's going to be geared toward ages probably about 4 to 10, okay? And we're going, right now we're in the midst of taking this concept and shipping it out to 3 playground manufacturers and designers. And they're going to give us some ideas within our budget that I'll talk about in a little bit. And our kind of guideline for that playground, other than the age designation that I just talked about, was that we want it to be really geared toward nature play. So some playgrounds are themed. Some playgrounds are, they have certain type of color schemes, or some are just stock. There are playgrounds now that are more common, and I think more fun, more excited, that are based on nature. So different wood elements, or just even natural scapes that we can play on. It will still have, I'm sure, swings and other amenities, but we'll be designing those components as we move along within this realm of a nature play. And around that, that'll of course be a fenced area. It has to be a fenced area, but around that will be these large groves of trees. So you see on either side of the red dashed line around the playground that we have 2 groves of trees here that we're looking at planting. And so all of this from the stage, if you can kind of draw a big circle around that little hill, see those tight lines on the right represent that little hill that comes up the backside. And all of that kind of shapes this outdoor area that we have. So if you could think of not only having the playground and having the grove of trees, but also that kind of bookending the outdoor gathering space that we've been able to enjoy here recently. So that'll kind of be in the back of it. And when you tie it to the little fireplace we have, that playground space all the way around, you can see where the existing sign is, so you can get kind of a sense of the scale of that. That all kind of creates that outdoor space. Now, the location of the playground was also intentional, not just for kind of that whole outdoor area, but that's one of the most visible pieces of our property when you come down Bell Road. So this is one of the kind of the invites that I was talking about. This is going to be very visible to families who would be driving down Bell Road, and kind of frames the whole church visual, actually, when you're riding down the road. So next slide, please. So how much are we talking about? You want to know that. All of this total is budgeted at $145,000, conceptually speaking. And we received a classes grant last year that we'll be using for investment. And so this will be fully funded by that classes grant. So I think just really exciting opportunity to invest kind of in the future generations, in our space, in all of it, in fully funded. Doesn't get much better than that. So, and then one more slide. I want to talk about when we're going to see some of this stuff. Like I said, we've been in kind of a conceptual planning mode and wanted to show you where we're at right now. But the next 4 months or so is really when this will start to come together. So in July here, we're going to be finishing those plans. We'll be getting some of the detailed plans from the playground manufacturers. We are going to have to get a permit from Cook County, so that does take some time. It's not a full building permit, but it is site improvement permit, and that could take probably about 6 weeks. We'll be doing final budgeting with all of that. And in August, we'll do the final drawings and coordination. We'll award some of those contracts. It's really a playground installer, and we're going to figure out how to install those trees. And then in October, I hope to see it built and usable in the fall. One more thing, as I kind of wrap up this short presentation. We have been looking at a whole within our property as well about what could be beyond just this phase of a playground and outdoor gathering area. And so while we are doing all of this for this phase of the work, we're also kind of planning what could be on the property. So there are potential walking trails that connect to future trails. There are other areas where we could have landscaping. There are shade possibilities over our gathering space. There's some improvements to drainage that might even make days like today, where it's rained for 2 days, possible to gather outdoors. And just a whole host of other things that we're looking at while we're kind of surveying the property. Once again, as a designer, I see properties all the time for churches. We have just this amazing asset and property here, and I think it's really exciting that we get to kind of lean into that, do some stuff that we'll see right away for this fall, and kind of plan and dream about what could be over the next several months. So that's all I got.